Crystal is the most radical building put into Toronto since the City Hall, 1960s. And when the City Hall came in, of course, it was controversial. You know, it was a clam shake or something. There were all sorts of things. Even the Moore sculpture that went in front of City Hall was an enormously complex and controversial thing. But there's no denying that the Crystal is a very strong, radical intervention at great size right in the main street of Toronto, which, by the way, it has helped to revive enormously in the last 10 years, all the way down Bloor Street. So I think that it was predictable from the beginning that when we chose Libeskind, there was going to be something here that was going to polarize for a while, maybe not forever. A lot of people who are going to say, what is that? Why is that so different, so radically different in the cityscape? And the second radical building in the cityscape is another Libeskind that's coming up now, the L Tower condominium on Front Street, which, as I said to them the other day when it's now getting up there, I said, it's making everything around it look old. Everything out around it is a box. And now we have this bulging, soaring sculptural form down there where people taking pictures of Toronto now get on that side of the city to show this shape against the downtown. So I think over time, and I've experienced this, people have come up to me and said, I used to hate it, and now I love it. Now I hope more people make that bridge, but some won't, and some will be born who will maybe always hate it, because it's a very expressionist, dominant, aggressive almost building. And thank God for it, I think, on Bloor Street, and the spark it's given to Bloor Street. And it is, I think, when the final dressing of the Crystal is done with lighting and landscaping, it's going to be one of the great assets of the city. And indeed, in international architectural publications which survey what's been going on in the last decade or so forth in the world, the Crystal always has a place of pride, and they get great pictures of it, and they take it very seriously. So it is a building that I think will grow in stature, that it already has, to my mind, great stature. It will grow in wider appreciation in the city as time passes. The most important thing was to bring those collections out. You know, we had no gallery of Canadian First Peoples, really. We had all this collection. We had no place to show Canadian First Peoples. We had Africa. We had South Asia. We had a small gallery, but very little there. Textiles. We had minerals, gems and jewels. We had all these collections which were locked up in Japan that people could not access. You know, a museum is foremost its collections, a museum like this. And to be able to go, as I did the first month, I went into every collection room in the museum with all the curators. Every day, 3 hours here, 3 hours there. And I would go home every night a mixture of anger that such wonderful things were in the storage vaults, which no one had seen forever, and a thrill that we were going to be able to bring them out. What an opportunity to do so. So with only, I think, 1 or 2 exceptions now, only 1 or 2 galleries left to build, we were able to actually liberate the soul of the museum through its collections in so many dimensions. And some of them are in the heritage buildings, some of them are in the Crystal. And the second thing, I think, was to make sure that the commitment of the museum to contemporary culture and the life of the mind, and both in an environmental sense and in cultural sense through the Institute for Contemporary Culture, actually got taken seriously. And we made major investments in making sure that we were relevant to the city and the issues of the time through the ICC in very brilliant and very beautifully executed programming and exhibitions there. So as long as they can continue to make sure that that dialogue between the inherited assets and the newly created programming is vibrant, then I think that we will have something that's worthy of Toronto, and that the people of Toronto and Ontario and Canada will really appreciate.